There's no stopping Jim Brown on an effort like this. He goes over the top and into the end zone for his 5th touchdown of the day.
Have you ever seen an image of strength? Like this. A picture of power. Like this. A portrait of courage. Like this. Ask yourself these questions, because the answers tell you how superhuman this man really was. Ask yourself these questions, because his whole life, that's what Jim Brown was about.
Jim Brown wasn't just one of the greatest football players of all time. He was one of the most complex men in American history. A gladiator on the field, a firebrand off of it, a movie star, an activist, a man of contradictions, a hero to some, a troubled figure to others. But no matter which angle you looked at him from, you couldn't look away. Born James Nathaniel Brown on February 17, 1936, in St. Simons Island, Georgia, he entered a world stacked against him. The Deep South in the 1930s was hostile for a young black boy, and though he wouldn't stay there long, the experience of being born into segregation left a lasting imprint. His father, Swinton Brown, was a boxer and often absent. His mother, Teresa, worked as a maid. By the time Jim was 2, his father had left. His mother left too, seeking better opportunities in New York. Jim was raised by his great-grandmother until age 8, when he reunited with his mother in Manhasset, Long Island. That's where the world began to take notice. At Manhasset Secondary School, Jim Brown was simply dominant. It didn't matter what sport, football, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, or track. He wasn't just the best on his team, he was the best in the region. He once scored 38 points in a high school basketball game. In lacrosse, he averaged over 5 goals per match. And on the football field, he was a one-man army. But back then, national media didn't flock to black high school stars. He wasn't getting the same attention as white athletes with half the talent. Still, Jim's game spoke volumes. When it came time for college, Brown chose Syracuse University. It wasn't a comfortable fit. The school had few black students and fewer black athletes. Jim often faced open racism from fans, students, and even some coaches. Hotels would deny him a bed on road trips. Restaurants refused him service. Yet through all of that, he thrived. At Syracuse, Brown's athleticism went nuclear. He rushed for 986 yards and 14 touchdowns in just 8 games during his senior year. He once scored 6 touchdowns in a single game against Colgate. He was named a unanimous All-American and finished 5th in Heisman voting. Many believe racism kept him from winning, but football was just one chapter. Brown also dominated in track and field and was a first-team All-American in lacrosse, a sport in which he revolutionized the game. To this day, many consider him the greatest lacrosse player of all time. He could sprint past defenders, absorb contact like it was nothing, and fire shots with terrifying precision. The rules of lacrosse were literally changed to slow him down. In 1957, Jim Brown was selected 6th overall in the NFL draft by the Cleveland Browns. What followed was one of the most jaw-dropping professional careers in the history of sports. In just 9 seasons, Brown became the NFL's all-time leading rusher with 12,312 yards. He won 3 MVPs, led the league in rushing 8 times, scored 126 total touchdowns, and never missed a single game. He averaged 104.3 rushing yards per game, a record that still stands to this day. In an era when defenders were allowed to hit you high, low, late, and violently, Brown absorbed it all and kept moving. He was 6'2", 230 pounds, ran a 4.5-second 40-yard dash, and played with a chip on his shoulder the size of Ohio. In 1964, he delivered a championship to the city of Cleveland. It remains the Browns' last NFL title. 2 years later, at the height of his dominance, Jim Brown shocked the world. He retired at age 30, not due to injury, not because his skills were fading, but because of a movie. While filming The Dirty Dozen in London, production delays pushed his schedule into training camp. Brown's owner, Art Medell, demanded he return or risk fines. Brown refused, and just like that, he walked away. The decision stunned fans, but Brown didn't flinch. He was done with football. He had bigger plans. Hollywood opened its arms. Brown starred in over 40 films, including 100 Rifles, Slaughter, 3 the Hard Way, and of course, The Dirty Dozen. He became the first black action hero, long before Denzel, long before Wesley Snipes. He refused to play subservient roles. He demanded respect, demanded range, and he helped redefine what it meant to be a black man on screen in America. But Brown wasn't content to stop there. In 1967, he helped organize the now legendary Cleveland Summit, bringing together athletes like Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to support Ali's stance against the Vietnam War. It was bold, it was risky, and it showed that Jim Brown saw power as something you used to uplift others, not just yourself. In 1988, he founded American, a nonprofit aimed at rehabilitating gang members, prisoners, and inner-city youth. He walked into neighborhoods few others would. He sat with gang leaders, preached accountability, preached peace, and made real change. He believed in transformation, not through slogans, but through structure and self-belief. But Jim Brown's legacy wasn't without deep controversy. Over the years, he faced numerous allegations of violence against women. He was arrested multiple times, though many charges were dropped or reduced. In 1968, he was accused of throwing a model off a balcony. In 1985, he was charged with raping a woman in his home, charges that were later dismissed. In 1999, he was convicted of smashing his wife's car window during a domestic dispute. He refused counseling and served time in jail. Brown's defenders saw him as a misunderstood man, a product of his times, tough but not cruel. His critics saw a pattern of behavior inconsistent with his public mission. The truth is likely both, and that duality has always followed him. In his personal life, Brown was married twice. He had several children. He was a complicated father, demanding, old school, deeply principled, but emotionally distant at times. His daughter Kim once said that her father taught her to be strong, but struggled with emotional vulnerability. Brown rarely spoke publicly about his family, preferring to keep them out of the spotlight, but it was clear he took pride in his legacy beyond football. Even as he aged, he remained a powerful voice. He met with presidents. He mentored NFL players. He criticized the league, but also worked with it. He was an early critic of Colin Kaepernick's protest, but later softened his tone, emphasizing unity and effectiveness. Brown was never afraid to be unpopular. He valued respect over applause. In 2015, the Cleveland Browns unveiled a statue of Jim Brown outside their stadium. For a franchise that had long suffered, he remained their beacon. The city never forgot him. And in 2020, he was named to the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team, cementing his place among the immortals. On May 18, 2023, Jim Brown passed away at the age of 87. The tributes came fast, and they came from everywhere. Jim Brown was not perfect. He never claimed to be, but he was real, unfiltered, fearless, a man who demanded the world meet him on his terms and changed it in the process. On the field, he was the most dominant force the game had ever seen. Off the field, he was a cultural transformer. And throughout his life, he walked the line between legend and lightning rod. He used to say, make a mark. Don't just play the game, change the game. And Jim Brown didn't just change the game of football, he changed the game of life.